Hey Matt, how you doing today, bud?
Scotty, I'm doing great. It's Calgary and it's blizzarding, but I'm indoor and nobody handed me a shovel this morning, so I'm 100%.
That sounds like you're making good use of your time,
Thank you.
which, quite frankly, is a great topic for today. I think we had agreed that we were going to talk about time management and productivity. How does that sound to you?
Sounds great.
Okay, so how do I want to set this up? A lot of people that we coach invariably will talk to us about feeling that they're not making the best use of their time. There's not enough time in the day. They're trying to balance work life and all of those things. So, for all of you millions of people out there who are watching this, Matt and I thought it would be helpful if we put together our top 10 suggestions for better productivity and time management. Ready?
Scotty, I think you should go first.
I'm going to go first.
Yep.
So, the first thing that I've noted here is focus on what you can control. So quite often when working with somebody, they feel overwhelmed. They don't feel like they have a good handle on their calendar. So what I say to them is focus on what you can control. So these are the areas where you can actually make a difference. This is within your scope of influence. Um, and once you realize there's no point in fretting over stuff that you can't control, then you're able to zero in on those things that you can have an impact on and you can control. So rule number one or suggestion number one is focus on what you can control. What do you got, Matt?
Well, I think you should work on the same thing for a while. I believe in block scheduling. It's a way to
Ah,
stay on the same thing. So if I'm doing paperwork today, I'm doing paperwork from 8 until noon. Okay. I block it. I only want to do it once. I don't want to get disturbed. I fill up my day with what you do in intervals, right? And
right.
stay on task.
That's a good one. I think keeping people on task is a good idea. I'm going to come back with identify and prioritize the important task versus less important tasks. So we have our list and we're looking at the list and we'll have a tendency to maybe pick off the ones that are easy or the ones that we avoid the other ones. So it's a good exercise to go through and prioritize them. So, what has to happen now? What can wait? And Jill Conrath, and I'm going to do a little book plug here in More Sales, Less Time, talks about the one thing. So if you had to do one thing today, what would it be? So that's an example of what you would prioritize. And what can be delegated? So if you have the ability to delegate it. If not, prioritize those things that have to get done versus those things that can wait.
Well, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I'm going to come back with this. What are your
Okay.
time suckers? The things that kill your use of time. Turn
Yes.
off your email. For goodness sakes, quit looking at it. It doesn't need to be looked at every 3 minutes. Updated 14 minutes ago. I don't think so. Um, put your phone away. You were just looking at it to check your email. Don't
Okay, I'll put my
don't
phone away.
put your phone away.
It's gone.
Um, this one's controversial. People have do not disturb times. Um,
Yes.
that's kind of old school, but if you're in a position you can do it and safety is not a concern, and people can leave you an email, etc. Have goes back to focusing on a task. If you
I
have
like
to
that
pick up
idea.
or answer your email and ringing phone, oh boy, that's a huge time waster. Um, that goes with teach others to honor your calendar.
I like that idea too.
Create boundaries. Scott, quit interrupting me. There, I'm creating boundaries. I'm all done now. Thanks.
Okay, that's a good one. This one may be a little bit different, but in terms of productivity, I would suggest that your best ideas likely come to you when you're doing nothing. So, as an example, you made the comment about emails. The reason that people don't tend to have maybe really good ideas as often as they'd like is because they're being interrupted with their phone, with their emails, with LinkedIn and Facebook. So, what are the things that come to you when you're doing nothing? I know for myself that my clearest thinking and my best ideas come to me when I'm walking my dogs or my dog and my son's dog, or when I'm on the motorcycle. And it's because I don't have all those interruptions. So allow yourself time during the day where you don't have all those interruptions. Go for a walk and see what kind of brilliant things will come into your head when you're doing nothing.
All right. I like that.
Thanks.
I'm super good at nothing, so I should have a lot of brilliant ideas.
Which is why you have so many good ideas, right?
Right, right.
Right, right.
But if you are going to use your brain, and
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm going to, but if I did, I would only use it in chunks of 60 to 90 minutes. You know
Why is
why?
that, Matt? Why?
Because the brain likes to work in chunks and then it likes to shut off. And go back to what Scotty said. That's when I'm going to have my good ideas. Take a break for 5 to 10 minutes between meetings. Okay. I know you can't just take breaks and walk the dog all the time, but when you can, you should. But if you are going from task to task, schedule 5 to 10 minutes.
Brilliant.
Remember that part about getting people to recognize your boundaries? If you don't control your schedule, whoever does needs to learn to give you some time. Okay.
I like that.
Go for a walk, bug a coworker. I'm super good at that. I'll see you at the water cooler later, Scotty.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Get up and move and stretch. That's not the same as going for a walk. That's better. But if you can just move and stretch, get out of your chair, walk around, get the blood flowing. Some of that might even go to your brain.
Stimulate
So,
the brain a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
I'm all done.
So I'm gonna build on what you just said there. So this consistent with the idea of managing your schedule and block scheduling is to manage your work day and your work week. So you talked about working in chunks of like 60 to 90 minutes. There's science that says that the brain can only really focus for that long. The extension of that is after about 55 hours in a week, our productivity falls off a cliff. So if you feel like working 10 to 12 hours a day or working 60 to 70 hours a week is helping you be more productive, lots of science that says that that's not true. You're gonna have more mistakes. You're gonna be less creative. You're gonna have trouble focusing and being present. So as Matt said, work in chunks of 60 to 90 minutes, but also manage your work week so that you're not working more than 55 hours because you're really not doing yourself or your team any favors.
I think your wife would have something to say. I'm just saying Carol might just be a little annoyed if you spent 55 hours a week doing what you do.
Carol would probably be annoyed with me regardless, but good point, Matt. I'll take that under advisement.
But let's not talk like that. Let's live above the line.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, good segue.
Encourage others to be more independent and to answer their own questions and come with a vision of what it's going to look like. Because if you can get people to think of ideas on their own and get them engaged and empowered, guess what? They're not taking up your time.
Exactly. So you're saying there's a benefit to leaders to help make their folks more independent and engaged, is that you'll gain more time. That's a good.
Absolutely. It is a gooder. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that.
We've already touched on this, but I think it's important to have this as its own topic, which is own your calendar. So this is back to point one. You actually can have some degree of control over your calendar. And as you mentioned, if you don't put something in there, somebody else will. So block those times to work on tasks, block those times to not be disturbed, and get people to respect that. And create stuff for important, create time for the important stuff. So whether that's do not disturb time, whether that's the priorities, all of these things blend together. So own your calendar is number 9.
I'm going to reiterate myself, Scott. I think this worth repeating here. Book your time, 5 to 10 minutes between meetings. I actually book a half hour. I'm going to be honest. I give myself a half hour between coaching sessions.
Yes, I do too.
Time to decompress, think about and prepare for the next meeting. My client deserves to have a fresh mat. Not a door.
We all do.
A fresh me. And studies have shown we're more focused with breaks between meetings. And if you're gonna meet, let's make it a good one. There you go, Scott.
I agree. PD, when you go from meeting to meeting to meeting, as you said, we all know that we're not as cheery, as inventive, as creative, as attentive as we should be. So good point. So we're going to give everybody a bonus number 11 because Matt and I couldn't come up with only 10. And the last one is, and it's a summation of all the things we've talked about. Multitasking makes us dumber. And I don't know about you, but I can't afford to be any less smart. So I'm going to do another. I haven't read this one yet, but Dave Crenshaw, The Myth of Multitasking, How Doing It All Gets Nothing Done. So that would be my first point on this is we can't multitask. We think we can, but we can't. Anything to add to the multitasking number 11 topic, Maddie?
I've read so many things that tell us it's a myth. If you're distracted by something else, you're not multitasking. You're simply losing focus on one thing to focus on another. If you're good at that, it's still bad. It's still bad.
I would agree with you and argue with you that anyone who thinks that they're good at multitasking is fooling themselves. So, quick summary. What do you control? Block scheduling. Identify and prioritize your important tasks. What are your time suckers? Great ideas come when doing nothing. Your brain works best in 60 to 90-minute chunks. Manage your work day and your work week. Maddie mentioned living above the line for leaders. Own your calendar. Book time between meetings, and multitasking makes us less smart, shall we say. So there you go, folks. There's 11 tips to help you get more control over your day and be more productive. Great way to start the new year of 2022. Matt, any final words?
Yeah, if you got any more great ideas, throw them in the comments down below, because you know what? Just because we're brilliant and know most everything doesn't mean we know everything.
That's a really good idea, because
Thank you.
we're always learning from other people. So you know what? We would love to hear your comments and suggestions. Hopefully this was valuable. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And everyone, be safe.
Thanks from Scott and Matt. Have a great one.
See you, Maddie.
Bye, Scott.